What's up, rockers, and welcome to another episode of Crushed Celluloid. Today, we'll be looking at 1989's Gleaming the Cube, a film stuck between two decades, starring Christian Slater, stuck between two excellent films. It's a story about brotherly love and Asian and American relations, and Pizza Hut, that will ultimately save the world through the power of skateboarding. So grab your raddest board, put on your dirtiest clothes, and get ready to see something sick. It's time for Crushed Celluloid.
Yeah, you want to kick it off?
Why not? This is my idea after all, wasn't it?
It was.
Alright, so today we're talking about 1989's Gleaming the Cube, starring a young Christian Slater.
I will say this movie comes at an interesting point in Christian Slater's career. It's right before Pump Up the Volume and right after Heathers. Like, he had a 3-year span. And this was in the middle of those two great movies.
Yeah, it's weird. And actually, I chose this film because I used to really love it as a kid. And I think it's just like summertime, USA Channel. They would play movies during the day, and this came on all the fucking time.
Yeah, that's mostly how I remembered it. And those feelings of nostalgia did not play out.
Yeah, I guess when I was a kid, I thought skateboarding was like really cool. And I thought Christian Slater was really cool. So I guess it just, folded in.
The strange thing is this movie has a cursory interest in skateboarding. It's like it's almost a B plot, even though it's kind of what the movie's sold on.
Well, it also just seems like they kind of have to find ways to shoehorn it in at any given moment.
Yeah,
well, one of my favorite things about the movie is that they try to make it all actiony in the third act, but then there are times where they'll cut to a long shot of Christian Slater riding a skateboard down a long frame of a street, and it's just going so slow while this fast action music is going on.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, let's get this out of the table first. This movie is about a high school kid with an Asian adopted brother who gets murdered for non-communist weapons smuggling he accidentally gets involved in.
Yeah, it's anti-communist. It's like the Vietnam Anti-Communist Relief Fund that he works for, but he finds out that he doesn't even find it out. He just finds that there's a discrepancy in the weight in the shipping, and that's because they're shipping guns illegally.
Well, what I'm getting at is this movie is about an amateur detective. That's essentially the movie, with very heavy Asian American themes intertwined. And then there's skateboarding. It's
because that was the rage. It was all the rage.
It's the strangest film.
And also being released, it was made in 88, of course, but it was released in 89. And being released in 89, it is in so many ways completely an 80s movie and a 90s movie at the same time.
It does. It fits very snugly into both of them.
And surprisingly, I found when kind of looking a little bit on the background that it has a 6.0 on IMDb, a 70% audience on Rotten Tomatoes, and of course a 29 critics, but I'm surprised there's still so much love for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's just, the Space Jam syndrome, that people remember loving it more than they actually loved it, and if they watch it, they're not actually paying attention enough to care.
Very, very possible. And also just a funny thing to mention is, of course it wasn't any kind of a hit whatsoever. I think it grossed less than $3 million on its initial release, but I think it's just, again, what I grew up watching it on USA and stuff probably is what gave it a little bit of a cult following. But Weird Al's film UHF was released the same year, and that's considered a universal flop. And UHF made twice as much money as Gleaming the Cube did in theaters.
That's pretty wild. I don't know. It makes me wonder how they advertised this movie, because I bet there was a tie-in with Pizza Hut.
I bet there was.
Because this movie loves its Pizza Hut.
It does. And actually, in the opening where Tony Hawk, that is a young Tony Hawk, by the way.
Yeah.
They're flying in a plane over their town in California somewhere. And he's like, oh, there's my Pizza Hut. I didn't realize that meant he worked at that Pizza Hut. I thought that just meant, like, that's my Pizza Hut because I fucking love Pizza Hut so much. I consider that one mine.
That was just the closest to my house, and I eat there all the time. But yeah, it
That's
turns
my
out
Pizza
it was,
Hut.
maybe, I mean, we're not even positive he has a job there. Maybe just painted his truck red and put a Pizza Hut sign on it. That's just...
Well, no, I don't think so. Like, he has keys
no.
to the Pizza Hut truck, and they meet in front of the Pizza Hut, so I think...
No, that's what I'm saying, is that he made that Pizza Hut truck because of his deep, unabiding love for Pizza Hut in all forms.
Maybe, because we never see him work for them. Or
That's
anything.
what I'm saying.
And as a high schooling skateboarding kid, like, why would he have a job at Pizza Hut?
Yeah.
It seems like all these kids are rich anyway.
Yeah, these are... we'll get into it. So... I'm looking at the tagline now because I hadn't read them, but it's the tagline on the IMDb page. It says, "When getting even means risking it all," which doesn't really highlight anything about the film.
It does not. I like the other one better, which is all he cared about was gleaming the cube until the night they killed his brother.
But Gleaming the Cube doesn't mean anything. That's not a real saying.
It does in the Urban Dictionary now because of this movie. It
has like 4 definitions in Urban Dictionary and none of them mean the same thing.
Well, that's Urban Dictionary for you.
Yeah, it is. It's hilarious.
Well, even like the Gleaming the Cube, like, it's kind of a throwaway line in the film that they turn into the title.
Yeah, and it still doesn't make sense there. Like,
well, I think this movie was originally called like Skate or Die or something, and I guess maybe they had to change it because wasn't there a video game called Skate or Die?
I think so.
Yeah, so maybe they had to change it because of that. But yeah, it's like a throwaway line, and he just says like, "You gleam the cube, Brian," and like that is apparently
you're
enough.
Different. So we jump into it with some neon, some John Wayne statue. I'm pretty sure.
Perhaps. Actually, when I first started watching this, it was on YouTube, but it was horrible quality, so I ended up having to find another copy. So I thought they were like skating past their school at first and then going to like an airport, but I didn't realize that was the airport to start out with.
No, that is the airport where they can skate on the runway. And this is something we keep running into. Before 9/11, were like airport runways just really this unsecure?
Apparently, there's so much just like very dangerous shit going on airport runways before 9/11.
And then it just
so
stops.
If one good thing came out of 9/11 is airport runway security.
The thousands of deaths per year of people doing stupid shit on runways. That scourge was ended, I suppose.
And even though I'm sure we can agree that this is not the best movie ever, this may be the best movie soundtrack of all time. Because I fucking loved both the opening and closing songs in this.
Oh man, they're bad.
It was stuck in my head though, the Gleaming the Cube song. It's so good. I wish this movie like had a soundtrack that I could get.
Oh, I'm sure it's somewhere. So we see Christian Slater and all of his friends skating down a runway. Then they have an argument with your prototypical dweeb that's working at the airport, and they exchange some banter. And we're not. At first, I thought that Christian Slater was gonna be a pilot. Like that was like a side interest of his. I was like, he really wants some flying lessons right now, but this guy doesn't want to give them to him. Like that's what I thought was happening. Turns out they just want to go in the air to spot empty pools to skate in.
Which is weird, because I get that like that's something like skaters did and everything, but much later in the movie when we get to his friend Yabo's house, there's an empty pool full of like graffiti and shit in his backyard that they could skate at all they wanted to. Why do they bother going out and like breaking into places and finding pools? Like maybe it's better than the one he has, but still like skate in his fucking pool. You can do it for free without getting in trouble. Yeah,
no idea what that was about. That was... I mean, I guess just part of the punk aesthetic. I want to point out another thing about how this is a simpler time, and that one of the friends, he's wearing a Suicidal Tendencies hat, and this is before, like, this is when Suicidal Tendencies was kind of new in this big punk thing. But years later down the road, now the lead singer of Suicidal Tendencies is heavily involved in gang activity.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, if you support Suicidal Tendencies, you're essentially supporting organized crime to a degree. Like, he's big in the SoCal gang scene.
Huh.
And you can also...
Is that like for real or like Juggalo kind of gang?
No, that's absolutely for real.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, it's some pretty crazy shit. He actually released, with his reformed Suicidal Tendencies band, he re-released a re-recording with his new band of their original album. They got really big with that crazy song. What? I can't remember. All I wanted was a Pepsi, just one Pepsi. Institutionalized that song. Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, so Suicidal Tendencies is all over this movie, and I thought that was
So
funny.
is the Cramps.
They did have a lot of the Cramps.
It's mostly Brian. Brian was all about the Cramps, and that made me happy. But again, it's just it's just painting for this movie. It's like, oh, these kids are into punk.
Yeah, there's not actually a Cramp song on the soundtrack or anything.
Which I think, with as much Cramps as they put in it, they could have gotten a song for the soundtrack.
It has to be cheap. I don't think the Cramps are charging that much.
But I love how they show how they're so rebellious, because they're like, okay, I'll only take one of you up in the plane, and then of course they all jumble into the plane, and then they just start putting stickers on everything because they're so punk rock.
They're so punk rock. Skating's not a crime, dude. Anyway, they go to this fucking pool, and they're skating around it, and it's as if skating is a series of people watching other guys skate around the pool while shouting like, woo, woo! Then that guy gets out, and then the next guy goes, and it just starts all over.
There's actually something I'll bring up a few times, and like looking for it on YouTube. I did find this one interview that Tony Hawk did with Christian Slater, like many years later, like more recently, talking about doing Gleaming the Cube together, and they're both talking about just like silly things they had to do for the movie. And Tony Hawk was saying like, it's so stupid when we're at the pool and like someone will go and then it cuts back to us and we're supposed to be like, yeah, woo, because there's no one over there doing anything, and there's like all the skaters felt like such douchebags doing that.
Oh yeah, no, you can tell in their voices how insincere they are about all of it. It's bad. And then Yabo breaks his arm or something in this horrible cutaway scene that you have no idea what happened to him, but he hurts himself in the pool essentially. And then this insane man who apparently owns the pool is just, we get a solid minute of him monologuing. I mean, it seems like it's probably like 20 seconds of just solid him saying, like, can I sue them? I can sue their family, right? Can I sue their fathers? I want to sue their fathers. I mean, can they sue us?
Can they sue me? Can they sue me?
Can they sue me? That's what I want to know. Can they sue me? Like, it's insanity, and like he is neurotic.
It really feels like they just said, like, just go off on a tangent and get really mad, and we'll use a few seconds of it, and then they just used all of it.
Just like, we'll keep it all. And then we meet this is, I guess, as good a place to talk about it as any, is that this script feels like two scripts kind of jammed together with half of each taken out, because there's a cop who essentially acts like Christian Slater's father figure, but he already has a father in the film, so it doesn't make sense to have this cop play a father figure.
Well, maybe more like a cool older brother figure after his other brother gets killed?
I never got that, maybe.
Well, they play it up like he's kind of the older version of Christian Slater, because they have that whole scene, which, by the way, there's some horrible ADR in this movie to make it a PG-13.
Yeah.
But they have that scene later on where he's just like, oh, you're a screw-up. How I know? Because I used to be a screw-up. Blah, blah, blah. But every time they say screw-up, it was a very obviously fuck-up.
That they took out.
Yeah, and there's even one where Christian Slater is like sitting in front of his brother's grave, and he says, like, I'm a screw-up. But it's so obvious, like, the camera's so close to him, like, you can see his mouth saying fuck-up, but they put screw-up over it. And I was like, why wouldn't you use that one as your one fuck in your PG-13 movie? And then I find out later why, which they use it for, I guess, the best line of all time.
Oh, I think I called it, but I totally forgot it. But anyway, we'll get to it. But yeah, this guy, I totally got this father figure type thing, especially the ending where they're kind of arm in arm and they've reconciled their differences. But it's felt like this other movie, because the cop is in this movie a lot. for
Yeah,
such
it kind
a
of seems
B
like maybe it was like a
character.
kid detective story slash like a cop detective story, and they just kind of mesh them together and like, oh, what's hot now? Skateboarding, right? The kids like the skateboarding. Let's put that in there.
Yeah, and we got this other script about some fucking Asian kid. I don't know. Let's throw that one in there too. Like this movie is it's kind of
it's
insane.
like 3 spec scripts stapled together.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a good description. What was that one we did? The Whoopi Goldberg. Like
Fatal Beauty.
Fatal Beauty. It's like a ridiculous version of that with skating and teenagers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like the hardcore early 90s PG-13 demographic Harriet the Spy kind of thing.
And it's insane that you have to use that kind of sentence to describe this movie that should be so goddamn simple to make. And they just made the wildest, most inarticulatable movie possible. I don't know. Ridiculous. Then we go to Slater's home, where we find out he has an Asian brother, which is strange in and of itself. 'Cause it's...
Well, I mean, the setup is pretty much like his parents adopted this Asian kid named Vin, and he's like a good stand-up kid. He, is also in high school. He seems around the same age or maybe a little bit older, but he's like the good son. And then they have Christian Slater, who is like the punk rebel asshole son.
Yeah, Christian Slater's like, everyone knows that you're the hero around here, because he's not. He's a punk. And I love how they demonstrate this diversity by having their room pretty much split in two, as if they had put tape down the middle.
It's like a sitcom, yeah.
It really is. Like, Vin's side is just perfectly immaculate, the Christian Slater side is just horribly fucking messy. As if that's a real thing. Is it a real thing? I can't imagine.
Well, I mean, there's something you have to do in movies to give characters like traits without having to put much effort into it. And we use these things called character tropes, and we just kind of plug in these little things that we've seen a million times before, so people automatically are like, oh, he's that kind of character.
And that's how we find out about Christian Slater. Anyway, now we follow the Vin for a while as he does stuff with numbers and...
Yeah, he works for his girlfriend's father, who was apparently like a colonel in Vietnam or something, for the Vietnam Anti-Communist Relief Fund, sending like medical supplies and shit like that. And like I said, he notices that in the shipping documents or whatever, there's discrepancies in like the weights of the cargo from what it was supposed to be. He brings it to the attention of his girlfriend's father, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll take care of it, blah, 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 and just kind of brushes him aside. So, that causes trouble.
Yeah.
Because he's very obviously the bad guy.
And Vin has apparently started smoking, and even though
very,
the parents...
Very awkwardly.
Very awkwardly, and also inside the house, where it does not seem like the parents smoke or anything. So it's like, it's going to be really obvious.
Oh, yeah. I learned that as a teenager. But yeah, no, I guess that's one of the small things I kind of liked about the movie is the fact that it did seem like he was stressed out, so he just started smoking. So he's very awkward and just like seems very unhappy smoking, but he keeps like trying to chain smoke to, I guess, relieve stress or look like he's trying to relieve stress.
That's what I've been told helps. So I'm going to start doing this. And he tries to talk to Christian Slater about it. He doesn't really listen, I guess. Then he goes to the shipping company.
Oh, it's like a shady medical lab.
Yeah. Well, it's also, it's medical lab, and they were shipping medical supplies. So he goes to this building that he has never been to before, and just starts goes into their their factory or their
warehouse.
Their warehouse. Yeah. And just starts going around boxes and flashing pictures, and he set off this laser sight. So you're assuming he's totally going to get caught by security. But as he's just about to break into this one box that was on his list, not security, but a man in a suit comes holding out a gun, and it's the fucking owner. As if the owner has been sitting at this warehouse all night waiting for, he's the security.
Yeah, pretty much like he was just right outside the door just waiting for anyone to come in.
Yeah. it's insanity.
Well, it's weird because we see later he does have security officers there, so or maybe he didn't. He was the only security until that break-in happened. He's like, I better put 2 guys on this warehouse where I'm smuggling all these guns. It seems like that might get me in trouble.
I've really been slacking on my job as owning this place by playing a security guard every night. I should really hire guys to do this.
I've been getting no work done. Having to spend my nights just scoping around the place.
Then we get a torture scene in a motel, because that's where this movie is obviously going. And it's because I love that as they're torturing him, he gets all angry. He's like, he's a communist sympathizer, like holding a wet towel around his neck. Like, what? Like, where is this movie going? And they're like, no, it's just a teenager. And then it cuts back, and he's like, oh, I think he's dead. Like, he just.
Well, I mean, that usually happens if you strangle someone.
Usually, they'll eventually die. It's like, I don't understand. I've done this all the time. Like,
and again, I didn't get it. He like wet a towel and then was strangling it. Like, how is wetting a towel going to keep it from strangling you more?
I think it would make it strangle you perhaps more. Like, maybe I don't know. Does it give, like, maybe it gives a little more give, so you have more, so you can force it out? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it gives a little bit more because it has to squeeze the water out before it just strangles, or maybe it leaves less of a mark. I don't know.
That's what I assume, is it's a way not to kill people when doing that, which is apparently does not work.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Apparently that was a failed experiment. But also the whole like communist and anti-communist thing in the movie, like there are bits of that in here, so it almost feels like it's trying to make some kind of a political statement, but it seems like it's making a political statement on the level of like a punk skating teenager wrote the script, and like that's as political as he'll get. It's like communist, anti-communist. That's all I know.
See, it doesn't really go. Like, I feel like this movie, more so than the communist Vietnam angle, is going for the Asian experience in America. Like, I feel like this movie has that embedded in it, to where it's talking about how Asians are perceived and what their community is, which is entirely out of place in a skateboarding movie.
I guess, yeah, that is actually a good chunk of the movie.
Yeah, it's really, like I said, like, you're right, like 3 spec scripts just kind of stapled together, like, well, just make it work somehow.
Well, okay, like, I'll be fair, they probably shuffled them together before they stapled them.
Just pages.
Otherwise, it would make no sense.
Yeah, I mean, this movie kind of makes like you have the beats of a regular movie, you just don't have the sense that a normal movie goes to make. Like, once it gets into Christian Slater's plan, it just keeps getting crazier and crazier, and eventually I just checked out. I was like, I don't know what's happening anymore. This all seems so convoluted.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But anyway, back to the torture scene. They miss a great opportunity for an autoerotic asphyxiation joke, which I figured they wouldn't make, but man, it would have been hilarious.
Yeah, instead of the cleaning lady coming in and just find him hanging, it'd be awesome if he was just hanging like with his pants down around his ankles.
Like with a belt off the doorknob.
Yeah. Oh man, I guess maybe that was before that was more of a known thing that teenagers do. By the way, guys, see World's Greatest Dad for some good autoerotic asphyxia humor.
Yeah. I haven't seen that yet, but I want to. I've been meaning to.
It's very, very good.
Anyway,
so Christian Slater finds out that his brother got killed, or that his brother technically committed suicide because they made it look like that. And he decides that he needs to go do some skating. And, good work, stunt double. You had some sweet skate moves in this.
You can... Slater's skate double does not look too much like Christian Slater.
No, it has a really bad blonde wig on the entire time. Like, it's so obvious. And the thing is, like, they... in certain scenes, like, it's passable, but there are so many times where, like, you can clearly see the person's face. Like, I guess maybe it's just tough to catch, like, cool skating tricks, but...
I think so, yeah.
But apparently Christian Slater actually did learn to skate for this movie. Like, he did training for several months. So, like, a lot of times it is him, but of course whenever it's any kind of fancy trick, like, they use cutaways and they use a stunt double and a Christian Slater wig.
Yeah, he learned the cursory elements of skating. It's like more than cursory. He learned apparently pretty well.
Yeah.
But not any real tricks that would make a skate movie exciting, so he doesn't do any of that. And then he goes to the funeral in like some punk funeral attire. It's awesome.
It's so good. Like I have my next funeral outfit picked out already.
I mean, and I love that he doesn't even go to the entire funeral. He
shows
goes,
up late, like while the preacher is talking.
Yeah, he shows up late, just walks up, places a chest bead on the casket, and then just like pieces out. It's like, that's it. Like I'm just making, I want my. He's acting like it's like almost a Hamletian kind of thing, like making very well known how much you're mourning his death. His very grand gesture.
But still, he took like an hour to put together that outfit before. That's why he was late. He was just trying to get just the right punk funeral outfit together.
I mean, I just imagine he's sitting around like watching from afar, just like, oh, should I go up now? I don't know. I don't want to. I want to get right in the middle.
I gotta be fashionably late. That's what punk rockers do.
I gotta make this full of gravitas.
Okay, so then, of course, he finds the piece of paper that his brother had that had, you know, all the things he found out about the place on it. And he goes to do some detective work, and he basically goes to, I guess, a Vietnamese section of his local shopping mall.
I'm guessing there's like a Chinatown it's SoCal. I guess there's China. I would imagine there's a lot of Asians over there.
Yeah.
So I guess they have their own little mini.
But it just
cities.
looked like a strip mall kind of thing, and it just happened to be like a Vietnamese strip mall. So of course he just happens to take the paper to the kid that killed his brother, and at some random fucking Vietnamese pool hall in a mall, and then, you know.
No, I don't think that is I don't think that's the guy that killed him.
Well, no, he was just asking random people, and then he goes into that pool hall, and he asks a couple of random people, and then one guy starts translating it for him a little bit, and just said, like, a word or two, because, you know, that's all you're going to translate. But then he ends up, the kid that killed his brother is in there, too, and that's the guy that starts following him.
See, I thought that was someone else that just kind of knew about it. Or like saw that he was asking about this.
Why, Cole? Because they all look alike? Can't tell them apart, can you?
No, I'm saying that's what you might be doing. I'm thinking...
No, it's the same guy. He's wearing this exact same outfit that he killed his brother in, like, several days before.
That's true, but when he goes to this whole next part, he's saying, I came to you with this information, now I want out. I want you to buy me a plane ticket. For this. Well, yeah,
because he's basically saying, like, hey, somebody knows I killed this guy. I don't want to go to jail. I will tell you this information, tell you where to find him and stuff, but you need to get me a plane ticket out of the country so I can't get in trouble for killing this dude.
That works. I mean, I don't even care. I fucking hated this movie. But it's horrible.
I didn't hate it.
It's pretty dire. And then Christian Slater, the guy starts following Slater. Slater realizes it, jumps in dude's car, and it's like hiding in the backseat.
He does this though because he follows him to the hotel where his brother died, and he talks to the cleaning lady. And this is one of the most baffling scenes in the movie to me, because he talks to her and he asks about like the kid that died, like who found it, and it was her. And he's just like, what do you know? What can you tell me about it? And she's like, why do you want to know? And he says, because he was my brother. And she like, what do you think? I'm fucking stupid. That was an Asian kid. You're a white kid. That's not funny. And then she walks away. He doesn't say shit to her. Like, he was my adopted brother. He could have explained it better.
He could have said, like, there was plenty of space for her to be like, oh, he was adopted.
He was my stepbrother. Like, you know, he could have, I'm sure he had a picture of him or something. Like,
Christian Slater is like a toddler, and that if someone is not staring directly at him, they do not exist in his world anymore. She turns around and he's just like, oh, I guess she's gone. I can't finish talking to her.
I guess that maybe fits his character. He just half-asses everything. He's just like, what do you know? He's my brother. Oh, I don't believe you. No, fuck it, man. She doesn't believe me. What am I going to
do? What can I possibly do to remedy the situation? Guess I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I have to explain more shit. Ugh.
So Slater hides in the backseat, just like not even like it would be so easy to see him if you just look slightly down, because it's not like this is a tall car.
Yeah, he didn't like hide under a blanket or anything.
No, so suspension of disbelief. Slater's like laying on his skateboard in the guy's backseat of like a Buick or something. he looks down on the floorboard. There's a gun and a knife. And I love the knife because it's just this huge fucking hunting knife. Like it's not like a switchblade or anything practical. It is just a giant hunting knife.
Oh yeah, not only that, they're just sitting below his seat, like with plenty of room under there. So like they would be all over the place, but they're just like perfectly set down, perfectly spaced apart. A gun and a knife.
Yep, very strange. And he drives to the middle of nowhere to meet bad guy and girlfriend's dad from earlier.
Yeah.
And I love when he gets angry and pulls out his gun that he had grabbed from below his seat, like because they won't give him what he wants. He's like, "Don't give me a jerk off hand job." And I was like, that's redundant. That's funny.
No, that actually was like that. That was a good joke. That I mean, I don't know if that was actually kind of more of a racist joke, like, haha, they don't understand words.
I wonder if that's that guy ad-libbing and really just not understanding enough.
Yeah, maybe that's just the only take they got, that the light was running out. I
want to say so, yeah. But then also, all Asians know karate, because the dad gives the most awkward kick to this guy's hand, and it just sends the gun flying. Oh, looks horrible.
Yeah, but no, don't give me a jerk-off hand job. That's like, that's one of the best lines ever.
Yeah, that was awesome. And in between this, I couldn't tell, but I felt like it kept showing the same two shots of Christian Slater over and over again. Because it's like
when he pops his head up?
Yeah, when he keeps trying to look out the window, and then, but he doesn't, I don't know, he just has the strangest non-look on his face. Like, he doesn't look concerned about what's going on. He just looks like he's trying to hide, and then every once in a while trying to look over.
Like you said, he has nothing to act against. If nothing is in front of Christian Slater's eyes, he is completely just zoned out.
He's just like, what am I doing here? Why am I in this car?
Nobody's looking at me. What am I supposed to do? And also, just when he does pop his head up, like, it's pretty much they're standing right in front of this guy's car and talking, and he pops his head up to where, like, you're directly in two of the people's line of sight
with your huge fucking greased up hair. Yeah. Like you would think these people that are staring directly at the car could see him through these non-tinted windows.
So anyway, the killer boy gets killed. He gets shot by evil white man.
They put him in the trunk of his car, which takes way too long. Like, that is the longest trunk opening and closing scene I have ever seen.
Yeah, because it's like a hydraulic one where it just like slowly, and I thought maybe it was going to like build some tension, like maybe he was going to find him or something, or give him some time to escape because the trunk takes so long. But no, they just have these two shots of the trunk slowly opening and then the trunk slowly closing for no fucking reason.
Yeah. And then Slater runs away to get the cops, and of course, the car's gone by the time.
Well, because also, I mean, I guess he had to run from the middle of nowhere, but yeah, it's like nighttime before they get back, so of course it's gone and taken care of already.
And then there's, I don't remember exactly what's surrounded. It's actually been a week since we've each watched this, like, all the way through, if we sound a little rusty. But
yeah, I think I kind of skimmed over it again last night to refresh myself, but I didn't want to watch it again.
No, yeah, I skimmed it a little bit right before we did it. But so Slater's talking to his cop father, brother figure, whatever, and they're just casually talking, and then all of a sudden Slater says, "You know, if I had a dog with a face like yours, I'd shave his ass and teach him to walk backwards." And it was just like, did the writer just really want that line to be in there, or the director or someone?
I think the writer was really proud of that line, and he's like, you guys have torn my script to shit and mixed it with all these other ones. Just keep this line, and we're good.
Just this one line. I just need this in there because it is a complete non sequitur.
I have two lines in the script that I need you to keep. Don't give me a jerk off hand job, and this bit about the dog, because this is the best thing I've ever written. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the writer also wrote Deep Impact. So
I saw that.
There you go.
Yes, I was gonna say this is as good a time as any to talk about the writer, who the only good notable thing he's done also is Deep Impact.
Well, he did The Player as well.
Oh yeah.
Which actually, I think he like wrote the book and the screenplay for it.
Huh. Interesting. And then the director has done a lot of crappy TV that went nowhere, except for Twin Peaks.
Yeah, that's pretty much like all I said is like TV movies and TV. That's all this guy's done.
And the movie Francis, which I believe is about Francis Farmer.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's an interesting subject. I'm not sure if that's what the movie's actually about. I just saw Francis and
just assumed.
Yeah, Francis Farmer's interesting. She went pretty insane. if that's the same actress I'm thinking of. I think. I don't know. Whatever. Moving on. That's about as interesting as these IMDb pages get. Oh, except for we'll get to she gets a lot heavier play in a little bit, but the girlfriend has only 2 other credits besides being in Gleaming the Cube, one of which is Big Trouble in Little China, and the other of which is like a TV show. Like
Who
one
was
episode.
she in Big Trouble in Little China?
Is she... She's
not the green-eyed girl that they're after, I don't think.
No, because that's a white girl playing Asian.
Yeah.
I'm pretty positive. No, she's in there, because I remember, because she does have this very memorable face. But I don't remember who she is in Big Trouble in Little China, but I do remember her being there. I think she may
I knew
just
she
be
looked
like
familiar, I just couldn't place her.
Oh, I think she's just the friend of the main girl. Because remember, there's the main girl with green eyes, and then there's the friend who's always with her, who gets captured. The friend that gets captured instead of the green eye girl.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's her. Well, now that we got that figured out,
Okay.
back to the movie that's not nearly as interesting as Big Trouble in Little China.
Do you want to just talk about Big Trouble in Little China for the rest of this?
Did wonders for Asian, white and Asian relationships in the 80s.
I mean, Kurt Russell basically did for Asian and American relationships what Sylvester Stallone did for American and Russian relationships in the 80s.
what Spike Lee did with Do the Right Thing, Big Trouble in Little China did for Asians.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
everyone hates
that's
us.
all the fun we're gonna have. So, back to Gleaming the goddamn Cube. Where were we? So, after all this, Slater goes to Yabo's house. Where's this other little weird, I don't want to say Easter egg because I don't think it means anything, but he goes, and apparently Yabo's family his mom doesn't care what he does, so he gets to have the pool and just spray paint it. And it's just this SoCal house. And then there's this weird moment.
They have a bomb shelter.
They do have well, I think that was a leftover from like the 50s, like bomb scares. I think there's certain places in America that's kind of common. I'm not sure if SoCal was one of them, maybe.
But also, I wasn't sure. Like, I originally thought that maybe that was just his little hangout spot. But then later, like, that's where he's sleeping. So it's like, that's his room. So I wonder if his parents are just like, do what just don't sleep in our fucking house. You can have the fallout shelter.
You smell. We don't like your friends. Just
you got a weird face. Just get out of the house.
Also, I don't think their living room is enclosed by like a window or a wall. It's kind of how it's presented. Like, they're just kind of eating dinner, and Christian Slater just seems to kind of show up, like, right behind them through a bush. It's really strange. But also, the scene I wanted to talk about is that the sister of Yabo, like, this little young, like, braces-wearing girl, kind of, like, has this weird smile and, like, waves at him like she has a crush on him.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was going to be something, and it's not.
Not at all, because even
just,
like Christian Slater kind of gives like a knowing wave back to her, being like, "Oh yeah, you totally have a thing for me."
Yeah, is that just
or maybe like a couple more years, girl? Then it'll happen.
Yeah. See, I feel like that's something that had a place in the script and got excised, but for some reason it got left. Like this one little moment that no one really noticed, and for some reason, I don't know. I don't understand.
Unless it's just trying to show that, like, oh, they're really good friends, and his whole family knows Brian, and his little sister has a crush on him, meaning, like, they're really good friends? I don't know.
I guess, I mean, it didn't... Whatever. I don't... Moving on. So, this is where we get the line, "You gleam the cube, Brian, you're different." And... whatever that means.
And of course, even Christian Slater is like, "What?"
Yeah.
He's like, the cube, man. The cube's that place where you go when you skate, when you just let go of everything, man. And you got it. You gleam that shit. I don't know what the fuck it means.
That doesn't mean anything. None of that makes sense. And there's also this part where he's like, "You wouldn't want your picture on a milk carton or anything. I also think they put your picture on a 6-pack of Bud." And that's also strange because they don't drink during the movie. So it's like, what...
Well, I guess maybe that's just like teenagers' cool idea of drinking. Just be like, put it on a 6-pack of Bud because drinking is cool, right? I don't know for sure.
I do not believe this movie is that clever. I will not give it credit for that. Like, this movie, it's like a shitty B-movie plot that they shoot too straight on, but then have to inject after the fact this skating stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is the point where it's like, I could see this movie being like like an Al Adamson kind of movie, like just a really shitty B movie with barely any plot to go on that they kind of shoot in a weekend.
Yeah,
and it could have been great.
If it weren't for Christian Slater being in this movie, I totally could have bought that this movie was just made for USA and like directly and just like played on it all the time because it was a made for USA movie.
It does feel kind of like a Pacific Blue episode, just with skateboards.
Exactly.
Oh, that was a horrible show. Okay. Then he apparently knows the father figure cop's address, which we find out.
No. He doesn't know. He's searching for the kid that got killed, Bobby Nguyen, the guy that killed his brother. He's searching for that guy's place, and he finds it, but the cop guy just happens to also be there.
Oh. Yeah, I forgot. Well, only thing I really want to point out about this cop's place, because this is, anyway, Christian Slater will get a clue. This is where they also say, I'm a screw up instead of a fuck up. And the cop has a poster on the front of his door. And who does that? Like, outside of like a college dorm, when would you ever put the poster on the front of your door?
Wait, at the cop's house?
Yeah. Yeah, there's one door that he opens on the inside, and there's a fucking poster taped to it.
When did we go to the cop's house?
Oh, then is that you?
Yeah, that's Bobby Nguyen. That's the kid that died. That's his place. That's why it makes sense that he has those shitty posters everywhere.
Oh, gotcha. But still, who puts a poster on the front of their door? Come on.
Yeah, good point.
That still doesn't make sense that it's that kid's house, but... And it's not, I mean, he's not a kid either. He's like 25.
Yeah, he's
30.
a little bit older. I wasn't sure. It seemed like he was maybe running in the same circles, but no, I guess he's a little bit older.
No,
and he's been corrupted.
Yeah. Anyway,
then we get, basically, Brian is just like, they killed my brother. I better skate it off.
Again, and we get the skate version of Kevin Bacon's dancing scene in Footloose.
It is. That reminds me so much of it. It's amazing.
Oh no, I wholeheartedly believe the director just lifted it. He was we're just gonna do this, except with a skateboard, because it's in a construction site. It's got this part where he's literally dancing with the skateboard,
which is the funniest thing because it shows the low shot of the skateboard and like all these cool foot moves going on, and then it cuts to an upward shot of Christian Slater, and he's just like bouncing up and down to make it look like he's doing.
And it's got his like a shadow and the silhouette, like, which obviously isn't Christian Slater because he can't do these weird things on a skateboard, but it's so close to Footloose, it's insane. Like, you would think they could get sued for this.
Oh yeah. But then they basically cut to Christian Slater, actor, talking to his brother's grave and, getting emotional and stuff.
I will say that's the only time in this movie I thought he was a good actor. Like, the rest, he is... Like, whenever he's talking to the cop, he's shitty. He's trying to be intimidating. It's not working.
Oh, yeah, he's trying to be like a punk kid, but it's so forced that it comes off uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's not the comfortable Christian Slater he was in, like, Heathers or Pump Up the Volume, the two bookends of this horribleness.
See, and that's so weird. It seems like this one would have come before those other two. Like, he was kind of finding his cool niche and just wasn't quite there yet. But no, he had already done Heathers, and then he did this. Like, how the fuck did that work?
Yeah, I did not get it. I could not believe this was after Heathers. I would have sworn this is one of his first movies. But no. Anyway.
But yeah, so then he basically decides that he needs to kind of change up his appearance because he tries to get his dead brother's girlfriend to like talk to him to find out information about her father.
Ooh, I do want to point out when he gets this idea, he's looking at a picture of his Vin hanging out with his girlfriend, and I think this was done after production ended. Like, they had to reshoot this. Like, or they didn't know they were going to need a picture. Like, oh shit, we already let that actor go. But he had already moved on to another film where he had to grow a mustache. And he's like, I'm not shaving my mustache. I'll do the picture, but I'm not shaving this mustache. And so he has this inexplicable mustache in the picture. It's like, why does he look like 10 years older all of a sudden? It's awesome.
We were watching the special edition where they went back to add some things in. The director took a cue from George Lucas and decided that he needed to complete his vision for Gleaming the Cube.
Yeah. I mean,
but basically, so he does that, and of course, like, we get a little bit more of the, Asian American politics here, because she's like, oh, my father won't let me hang out with American boys, even as friends, and, even if so, look at you, Brian, you're a punk kid. So
I'm an Asian. We do good in school.
Yeah, which is weird because she says that, but later on we see her like hanging out with like white people. Like she seems to have like white female friends and stuff. So maybe it's just boys. Like she can't hang out with white boys.
I would think that's probably more it.
But anyway, then we kind of get like the male equivalent of like the ugly girl becomes the pretty girl scene. We kind of like a he's all that all of a sudden.
Is that? I guess that's what it was going for. Like, because I didn't get the feeling it was like, oh my god, looking at me so handsome now, because he kind of looks like a gay porno actor after he changes.
Yeah, and all he did was he just like took a shower and put on a new set of clothes.
Like some like young Republican type clothes. I love what is during his transformation scene. He's digging through the closet and he pulls out some penny loafers and kind of stalls in front of the camera like, aha, keeps going. Now that I have the penny loafers,
make me look normal.
To complete the illusion.
But man, like, his friends and everyone else at his school when he goes, they're just like complete assholes to him and just like making jokes. And it's like, what, a dude can't wear a cardigan anymore? Come on, guys.
Come on. I also love when his dad first sees him, he does the car equivalent of a pratfall, which is his car.
Good. I have to admit, I knew it was coming, but I laughed so hard that they went full force with it and followed through.
Man. Oh, they did. They
did it with both his parents. His mom dropped a glass and broke it, and then his dad drove the car into the garage and fucking crashed.
Oh, so good. It was like something out of Home Alone 3. Like, not even good enough for the first two.
But he basically just like, especially with the blonde hair when it's more like combed back and stuff, he just dresses like any like 80s teen movie douchebag and starts riding a bike. Like that's how he transforms into a normal kid.
Yeah, and so he goes on a date with this girl.
And she has racist parents. Oh, what?
It's so strange because he's such an asshole to this girl, but she just keeps falling in love with him. It's so weird.
Well, yeah, because they really don't even connect much. Like, it shows them talking a little bit, but he's pretty much always just asking about her dad and being very obviously not so involved with her and thinking about other things.
Yeah, like when he's at her house and she really wants to leave to get to the movie because she doesn't want to talk to her parents about this, and he's just like, he's trying to talk to the dad. He's like, oh, why don't you tell me about the history about Vietnam? I think it would really help me to understand what happened to my brother. The fuck? Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Well, no, he pretty much, like, in that scene, he kind of, like, stares down the dad and starts kind of talking shit to him as subtly as possible, which is not subtle at all.
Yeah, but also why? Because that doesn't carry through later in the movie either. Like, it's not like he's trying to hold information over him at any point. Like, it would make sense if he's trying to give a clue as to, like, I'm on to you, but that doesn't seem to be what's happening either.
Yeah.
I don't know. This movie's stupid.
Yeah, but then after the date and stuff, it basically cuts to a scene of him coming home and his dad is watching like a home movie, which is one of the funniest parts of the movie, but it's apparently on Christian Slater's birthday, and his brother that is now dead was like trying to throw a frisbee with him, and he's just being the biggest asshole in the world, being like, I don't like frisbee, stop taping me, I feel so awkward in my own skin.
Like, after that whole history about Vietnam thing, this is it's just like, what is this crazy home video nonsense about throwing a frisbee? It's like the dad is across the yard trying really hard to get them to play frisbee as if they're like 10 or 11, and it's just like two grown teenagers just like, I don't want to play frisbee.
Yeah,
Dad.
the first one's like, I don't want to play frisbee is stupid. And then like Christian Slater, it cuts to him and he's just like, oh man, I used to be such an asshole. And I was like, because you didn't want to play frisbee.
Like, what?
But then like I was like, oh, he cares now, and him and his dad actually share a moment.
Like, I mean, all I could imagine is the behind the scenes of that video where the dad's just like, he's just got this new video camera because they haven't been out too long at that point. And
I actually think he just got this new frisbee that he's really excited about.
Oh my god, I just got this frisbee. Pull out that video camera. This is gonna be badass. Like, he's just like, guys, we need to film something. Let's go play frisbee. They're like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, let's go play frisbee.
Ever tell you about my college frisbee days?
Yeah.
I was quite the flinger back in college.
Oh man.
Oh, so by the way, we
Ridiculous.
see Christian Slater riding his bike around again, and I'm sorry, Christian Slater may have trained to do a skateboard, but he did not take bike riding lessons because he is not very good at it.
Well, I mean, how good can you be at riding a bike?
I don't know, just he looks so awkward, like he's never ridden a bike before whenever he does it.
Yeah,
Or maybe he just
does
thinks,
look a bit
because
awkward.
another thing that comes up in the interview quite a bit that I saw is that Christian Slater was like, at that point, I just wanted to look cool in the movie in every scene. Like, I just wanted to be the cool guy. So it seems like every time they made him do something where he didn't feel cool, he was just half-assing it. So maybe he's like, riding a bike. I'm supposed to be a skateboarder.
Come on, movie. So then we go to a martial arts expo.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
Vietnamese party? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a Vietnamese party. They talk about Vietnamese food. Like, this movie, like, it gets very... it's so strange. What is this completely alternate, like, Asian history stuff going on? Like, this is stuff you shouldn't need to know for a movie about skateboarding.
Yeah, and it's not really even going as far as like trying to understand the different cultures or anything, or
It's
like
not making
trying
a
to
commentary on it.
Yeah, because she's not like oh, I hate this food. It all looks gross. And then like she's like, no, it's good, and makes him try it, and he's like, oh, that is good. It's just like, no, I never liked the food. And then she like explains what one thing is, and then it cuts to the next scene.
It's like, what was that? Why? Like, what is?
But he does find the evil white guy that we saw earlier at this party, and sees him talking to her dad, and he decides to go and investigate the same lab that his brother investigated.
Which is, once again, why... I mean, I guess I never got to this before. You see this large conglomerate building that you have no idea what goes on inside. You have not scoped this place out at all.
Even less so than his brother. At least his brother kind of knew what they were about.
Yeah, and they just fucking go inside. Like, they find a way to break
easily.
it.
Like, his brother finds a convenient open window that leads to a ladies' room, and Brian just, like, climbs to the roof and finds an open grate.
Yeah, strangest thing.
And also something that I learned in this scene that follows the rest of the movie, skateboards aren't very good to sneak around on. Like, they make a lot of noise whenever you're trying to be quiet and sneak around on people. Like, they would hear you coming. So the security guard would hear a kid skateboarding into the building.
Well, they still haven't figured out putting the security guards inside. They just have them outside at this point, just, one step at a time. They keep them in a trailer right now.
They're working on it.
They're working their way up. And, yeah, so we find out that what we kind of knew all along is they're arming the anti-communist, which is also a strange point in the movie, especially in the 80s. I mean, I guess the Berlin Wall had come down at this point, but... it doesn't make a good villain that they're arming the anti-communists.
Yeah, they're trying to help
like, well,
the people that are trying. They're going up against what we've been as a country, we're so afraid of for so long, and we're fighting against.
Yeah, so it makes this really strange enemy
but
that you don't know how to feel about.
It also does kind of play that in a way, because it kind of plays like her father's, what he's trying to do is good, but he's just going about it the wrong way by dealing with a shady American business guy that's only in it for the money. So it kind of plays on that a little bit, but not enough to make it like a story point or anything.
No, it's really...
or a theme.
Yeah, very strange how little it's talked about. Then we get Slater back with the girl, where... whatever, he steals the father's lighter.
And
That's
his
about
hat,
all that
apparently.
And his hat.
Which we don't see. We only see him steal the lighter, but somehow he manages to swipe the hat as well.
Yeah, that was strange. They didn't.
We see him touch the hat and put it back, but somehow he winds up with the hat.
That makes more sense. Then we get him going back to the warehouse, and the craziest plan where it involves firecrackers. It involves Molotov cocktails and skateboards. It involves the father's hat. It
basically turns into like an extreme Home Alone for a second or something.
Yeah, he essentially throws firecrackers into this trailer until the security guards go in, where he locks them inside, makes the trailer go down a hill by knocking out its blockers so it rolls, then sending his skateboard with a bomb on it to
he has like a can of
gas
gasoline,
tanks.
which he apparently siphoned out of like his dad's car or something.
Why would he even need to do that?
I don't know. Like, he figured there's probably like a can of gas in the garage for the lawnmower or something.
Or there's gas stations. Those things exist. They don't ask for IDs, as far as I know.
What are you using that gas for, son?
It's so
cute. It's like almost like a little like robot thing, like you would send to blow something up. He like puts it on his skateboard and then rolls his skateboard towards a propane tank,
and then gets behind a pallet where easily stuff could get through. It's not like a solid pallet.
And not only that, but like it shows him like maybe 20 feet away from this propane tank, and then it cuts to like a long away shot, and we just see like the biggest fucking propane tank explosion.
It's awesome.
Like he would have been decimated.
Oh yeah, he would have been dead, but just a little bit of flaming debris that doesn't get anywhere near him. And so then he throws the father's football hat under the trailer that rolled down the hill, so that the white guy will like suspect him, even though they're in SoCal, right? So
yeah, and not only that, like, those hats are mass produced, man.
Yeah, no, it's the LA. That's what I'm saying. It's the LA Rams. Like I'm guessing they were the Rams at the time. Like, everyone's gonna have that hat. That hat is not a clue. If that hat's just something that's got like they're probably laying around in ditches.
See, I thought he was gonna leave the lighter there, which would have made much more sense because it has his fucking name on it.
Yeah, that's like. But then I guess the girlfriend couldn't see a Rams hat and be like, is that my father's? Is he the only LA Rams fan around here?
Maybe they were having a bad year, and he was the only one that was still with them.
I really feel like this part, they didn't... Like, this is what I'm talking about, where it gets so convoluted that you're like, what is he even... Like, what? I can't understand the thinking going behind this, because Slater isn't talking about it. Like, we don't have any... This is one of those times I desperately want like an ADR explanation of what the fuck he's doing, because I have no idea what he is
even
up
just
to
like
at this point.
One random voiceover right here would have been fine. I usually complain about that, but I would have been so fine if he was like, my plan started falling into place. I did this, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then they're gonna go to jail.
Yeah, it's like, oh, thank you, because you just seem to be doing a series of things that
No,
don't
I mean,
seem
they'll
to connect.
go back after the fact to ADR and screw up over fuck up, but they will not try to explain what the fuck is happening.
And then, okay, so after we blow stuff up, we get to Slater's penis in his pajamas.
It's poking out all over the place.
It is, it's poking. And so the girlfriend comes to see him. That's where she spends the night and she's like, I really like you. And she just gets silence from Christian Slater. It's like, okay.
Oh, yeah, that was so good. He was like, I'm not committing to you, man.
Yeah, like, he is, like, this weird... I will give the movie credit for not falling into the romance thing, but it does make Christian Slater seem like a huge asshole. He is just using this girl up and down.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is.
And it starts to play into it a lot, but it doesn't go all the way with it, which I guess is good, because it would be weird considering that was his dead brother's girlfriend, but...
Yeah. Maybe that's why they didn't do it. They're like, it's going to be a little weirder if we actually go all the way. But anyway, she finds her dad's lighter in the morning, and I love the line, because he's like... Anyway, I try to explain it, it's gonna come out wrong. Like, because none of this makes any sense. Of course it's gonna come out wrong.
And it seems like a pretty simple explanation. I was like, oh, your dad's involved in the death of my brother. He's sending guns to the relief fund, and he's working with this shady, evil, white business guy. And, that's it. The end. Yeah,
that part makes sense up until he starts to explain his role in all of this and what he is doing. Then it's just like, this is madness. I don't think...
Yeah, so he basically comes clean to her about everything that happens, and then she goes to confront her daddy.
Yes, who had been called by the white guy owner. And then we get this scene where Slater gets Yabo to build him a chromed out skateboard, which is like, it's supposed to be like I don't know, I guess at the end of like a Power Rangers episode when they show like the Ultra Monster or their Ultra Zoid or whatever, like this is like one of those transformations. Like, look how cool and chrome and black it is now.
Well, not only that, I think it's also kind of like the suiting up kind of scene, like for any action movie where like you go and get all your guns and get your gear together. He's just like building a skateboard. Yeah. Because that's all he has to work with.
Yeah. And then we get another strange thing. Yabo calls Tony Hawk. We don't know he's Tony Hawk, but the character, one of his friends, and Tony Hawk has 4 phones on his desk or on his bedside table, and I don't know what that means. Joke? I don't know. What was it? Who has 4 phones?
Oh! I'm so sorry. I think we skipped over a big part of this movie. I think did we skip over the motorcycle assassins? So I think his building the skateboard happens after all that.
Oh yeah.
Because basically, Daddy calls the white business guy and tells him about who Brian is, and he sends motorcycle assassins after him to like run him over. So basically, we get a high-speed skateboard versus motorcycle race / chase kind of thing. And I was like, man, good thing he's going downhill, or else he wouldn't have a fucking chance.
It's a lot like one of those like cars chasing someone on a bike scene where you're like, this is obviously not happening. Like this isn't possible.
Yeah, luckily it's a very steep hill, and he's kind of like, there are cars and shit getting in the way, so it makes a little bit of sense, but still it's just ridiculous. So basically they do a big chase scene. He ends up kind of getting hurt a little bit, and 2 of the guys get arrested. And then we go back to the detective and everything. And this is the scene where we find out where they decided to save their one fuck for this movie. What
was it?
Oh man, just wait for it. So basically, Brian tells his side of the story that he was sent. They sent them to kill him, and he was like, "That's not what they said. They said they were chasing after you because you called them fucking faggot slant-eyed gooks."
Yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah, that's much better. That's much better than the emotional scene where Christian Slater is talking to his dead brother's grave and he calls himself a fuck up. Yeah, much better to use it for fucking faggot slant-eyed gooks. Nah,
that works. So back to the present, where Tony Hawk has 4 phones.
Well, I mean, he's a busy guy. He's running that Pizza Hut delivery business all by himself out of his home.
Is that...
Yeah, he built his own truck. He's running, like, he loves Pizza Hut so much, he's trying to emulate them and build his own little Pizza Hut business so they'll accept him as one of their own.
He got 4 separate phone lines just in case Pizza Hut needs him at any time. Like, if this one doesn't work, call one of these. I swear, you'll get through to one.
You'll get through. I will get those people their pizza. Because I believe in you, Pizza Hut.
And so... this part, I don't, like, as little as I understand Christian Slater's plan, this part I understand even less. Pretty much he puts the call out for his friends to help. They're going to wait at the Pizza Hut and Tony Hawk's Pizza Truck Hut for the call of where to go. Meanwhile, Christian Slater follows white dude to Asian people's house, sneaks in the backyard.
But actually, the evil white guy does have this one line that I thought was so funny, and it was just like such a B-movie line where he was like, "No one knows anything except a kid on a skateboard." And I was like, that's all it takes, guy. You haven't read the posters.
Come on. He's getting even, and that means he's going to risk it all.
But this scene where he tries to save her, that's the funniest fucking scene to me.
It's amazing. So the white guy has the girl hostage. The father's really upset about this. Christian Slater in the backyard, unbeknownst to anyone, skateboards, like, flies over the pool on a skateboard, ends up ramping off something and crashing through the living room window where everybody is and just falling to the floor because he hurt himself.
Like, doesn't even reach them. Like, pretty much before he even hits the glass, like, her dad gets shot, and he pretty much, like, all he does is startle them because he cuts through the glass, but, like, he makes it, like, 2 feet past the glass and then just, like, falls and rolls and stays down. As, like, the bad guy's kind of like, "Oh, thanks, kid. Now I have an escape route right here through this big busted window."
And I'm not sure what sequence it happens. I almost want to say the father got shot after he went through the window, so it's almost like he caused it.
I kind of thought that, but I kind of think that like the reason he went down is because they started struggling over the gun, and I think he got shot right before he busted through the window.
That it could be. It's confusing. It doesn't really matter.
But it's the funniest fucking thing because it's this whole big build up, and he goes through this big elaborate move, and it does nothing except kind of help the bad guy escape because the cop is coming the other way. So if he hadn't had that exit out, he would have been caught.
Yeah, and so we get the bad guy, the bad white guy, kidnapping girlfriend.
And random Asian guy that just happened to walk by the house, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we hadn't seen this guy before. I didn't know if he was coming up to the house or if he was just walking by and then like, no, fuck it, you're going to drive my getaway car.
Didn't get it. So then Christian Slater puts the call out to Pizza Hut skaters, and the cop is there all of a sudden. I don't.
Well, the cop showed up at the house, and basically, Slater and the cop steal like one of their cars and go chasing after the police car. Which, by the way, shitty fucking amateur hour over here. The cop leaves his keys in the cop car, and then the bad guy steals his cop car and drives off.
Yeah.
So they have to steal one of the dad's cars, and they go chasing after him. And that's where, like, the guy uses the car phone, the detective does, to call back up on cops. And then Brian calls Pizza Hut to fucking get his friends together. And he has this line like, you got your crew, I got mine.
Yeah, but the craziest thing is he just gives them an address. They are in a high-speed chase, like, and it's going to take it takes them at least, what I'm guessing is like 10 to 15 minutes of movie time to make it there.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, they're heading towards this. He's like, he just gave them an intersection. He's like, it's headed this way, kind of the same way a cop does, being like, it's headed this way. But they can chase. Like this is like 10 minutes later that they show up. So they apparently go to this intersection and just wait and try to do a skating roadblock, I guess.
And it's one of my favorite parts of the movie because they're skating down this hill. It's supposed to be this epic thing. Like, you see the skaters kind of crest over the hill, and then you just see a Pizza Hut sign.
8 skaters lined up, and then the Pizza Hut truck behind.
And it just comes up, this Pizza Hut sign starts descending, and then Tony Hawk essentially plays chicken with his car, and it cuts. So I love these cutscenes. It shows.
I love the cuts to Tony Hawk.
Yeah, the cuts to Tony Hawk. Apparently, like, the white guy is getting nervous, and it just cuts to Tony Hawk, and he is apparently a sociopathic murderer.
Yeah, he's just, like, smirking so huge. And it's funny because it kind of looks like he's not even really driving the truck, but he's kind of bouncing himself up and down like he's driving.
It looks so weird. Oh, man. Awesome. And then we get... This really a lot.
But the white guy, when he does see the Pizza Hut truck crest over the hill and they start coming down, he's like, "Oh my god!" like it's the most intimidating thing ever. It's 8 skaters in a Pizza Hut truck. Like, you're in a cop car. I think you can make it through.
I think you could literally run over all of those skaters.
Yeah. Oh, but right after this happens and he kind of like just turns the corner and they kind of like chase after him, there's a moment where Brian stops at the corner and he has like his helmet on and stuff, and he gives a quick like arm raise, like a woo, and then keeps going. It's the most awkward fucking cut, but Christian Slater described it as like he wanted to look cool during the movie and they made him wear this helmet during the end, and he was really unhappy, and he also didn't have anything to act against. Like you said before, there wasn't anything for him to stare at or anything looking at him, so he just like was really half-assing it and gave this real quick like, yeah, woo, okay, move on.
Alright, skaters say woo is what I got from this movie. And there's this really insane highway chase where Slater is on his skateboard.
He's holding onto a convertible or a Corvette.
But I love how this happens because it's a white guy hits this one guy's car or something in a cop car, and Christian Slater, just a little punk on a skateboard, comes up. He says, "Hey, the guy who hit you isn't a cop, so go get him." And the guy says, "Thanks a lot, pal," and just starts driving after this cop car. Like, why would you believe him?
Well, not only that, but when he says like, "Hey, that guy's not a cop," the guy goes, "Yeah, no shit," or like, "Yeah, no, really." So like he already thought that, okay, it couldn't just be a cop car in a high-speed pursuit that happened to hit me. Like, no, obviously it's not a cop because he hit me.
Yeah, so let's chase him, because that's what you do when cop cars hit you. And so Christian Slater ends up holding onto the guy's car, and the guy's like, "Hey, what?" That's about.
Which actually, I actually found this out from the credits, which I'm sad I stuck through all the credits and found this out. But the guy driving the Corvette is actually the stunt coordinator for the movie. Which is why his acting is horrible.
Well, much of the acting in this movie is pretty horrible.
It's just all the stunt people and all the roles.
Yeah. So we get this ridiculous high-speed chase on a skateboard that I don't think could handle that kind of speed.
Not at all, because even before, like when he was on his regular skateboard, like holding onto a van going like 30 miles an hour, he kept having to like kick up his board to like keep from it going out from under him. But yet he's holding onto a Corvette going like 90 miles an hour without like having to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. And there's this whole on-ramp. I'm just skipping to the end because fuck the rest of it.
Well, I do want to mention the scene where he lets go of the Corvette and then he like skateboards under an 18-wheeler to get to the Pizza Hut truck with his friends. Yeah. That is the weirdest fucking shot ever. Like, it's a cool thing, but it's just, they obviously had to do something to it to make it look right, because obviously as soon as you let go of the Corvette, you're going to drop speed and get run over by those tires.
Yeah.
So it's this weird, almost kind of like, the light changes a lot, almost like it's time-lapse or something like that. Or they just slow it down substantially, but it's the weirdest fucking shot. Cool trick, but just weird shot to get it done.
Yeah. I mean, better than most of this movie. That's all I'll give it.
Oh yeah, but I'm at the end too, so we can wrap this up.
So he does this insane jump off an on-ramp. See, somehow...
Which
like,
spatially makes no sense.
No, none of the, like, spatially, this movie just gets lost at this. There's like, whatever, we just need to end it. I can't remember. What does he do? How does he stop the car?
Okay, even though he somehow no, he doesn't. The car stops anyway because they get into a big wreck, and then they get out of the car and they're trying to go like over the ramp, and then he like does a huge thing and he lands on the dude with his skateboard.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then like breaks his arm or something.
Yeah, he fucks himself up, but he saved her with skateboards.
Yeah, then Slater and the cop go off in the distance as father and son.
Yeah, they like ride off happily ever after. It's like the ending of Blazing Saddles, but with a cop and Christian Slater.
And then we get the song where I just started writing down lyrics. It was brother to brother, where are you going? Walking a tightrope. The fuck is that?
I don't know, but the soundtrack still rocks. Like that's the one thing. Well, that's one of the reasons why I stayed around till like while the credits were going on, because I really liked that song.
Oh man.
Then we get some more during the credits. We get some more cool skating shots with Slater's stunt double. Which at this point, it's the end of the credits. Yeah, it takes a hot second, but then they start, and it's just more of those like tricks he was doing before. But at this point, because it's the credits and they don't give a fuck anymore, they very obviously show that it's not Christian Slater. Like they still cut in one or two shots of a close up of Christian Slater, but the rest is just like you can tell the wig's almost fallen off. Like he doesn't look anything like him.
And if we're going to be honest, it's way before the end that people stop giving a fuck about this movie.
Well, our cube sure got gleamed. Whatever the fuck that means. Join us next week as we take a look at one of the few sequels that gives the original a run for its money with Joe Dante's Gremlins 2: The New Batch, here at Crust Celluloid.